Welcome back, everyone, to British Esports Student Champs Grand Finals. My name is Connie. I'll be walking you throughout the entirety of this weekend's action today and tomorrow. We've now reached the summit, ladies and gentlemen. This is our last final of the day, and it's going to be League of Legends. Just to mention again as well, this game's about 15 years, one of the biggest esports in the world. And in British esports, it's been one of the most competitive fixtures in the calendar. We've gone down from hundreds of teams down to our final two now, and from two very different parts of the UK itself. It's quite a special event and quite a special time to be alive for a League of Legends fan. But I think it's only fair enough that we get the teams out. Coming out first, not the first time or the last time you're going to see this team. They've got multiple teams coming out here for British Esports Grand Finals. It's the Colonel Cyphers. And the challenger today as well, coming all the way from Northern Ireland, it's going to be Belfast Met. Now, with these 10 players on stage, we are going to crown one champion today, and that is a very exciting predicament. But, I mean, let's get some introductions out of the way. To my right is the team captain for Colonel Cyphers, Pavlak. And I wanted to ask you a quick question as well in terms of practice for this event. How has the team been preparing for a match today against Belfast Met?
So, first of all, we have been scrimming somewhat regularly, you could say. Several flex games later, and yeah, now we're here, so we're ready.
Absolutely, and you've smashed way through the bracket, and you deserve it to be here today. But the team captain as well for Belfast Met, Rem, I wanted to ask you more or less about Belfast preparation. It's a long travel to come over here onto the mainland, but how are you feeling about today's final?
Pretty excited, pretty nervous.
And why wouldn't you be, right? We're going to crown one champion here today. And the process in which we crown it, the first domino to fall across the board is the vetoes. A coin flip will decide who gets the first pick of the sides in today's best of three. And on my left, Belfast Met will be heads. On the right, Colonel Cypher will be tails. Sound good, everyone? Okay. And because I'm terrible at coin flips as well, we'll do it again for this time. Rem, could you hold my microphone, please, while I attempt to flip a 1p coin? It's tails, ladies and gentlemen, which means Colonel Cyphers, you get the first pick on the first side. Now, Pavlak, what would you like to start off with?
Blue side.
Blue side, map one, fair enough. Rem, for map two, which side are you taking?
Blue side.
A lot of blue sides here, okay, I'm kind of sensing a key theme here. And for the final map, Pavlak, which side?
Blue side again.
Who would have thought? Well, without further ado, again, 3 blue sides, 3 maps to decide who will win today's championship in League of Legends. Pavlak, Rem, a fist bump in the middle to signify the start of this matchup, and fair sportsmanship, and back to your stations, please, to get ready for this very, very competitive fixture. And a round of applause as well for Colonel Cyphers and for Belfast Met, please, ladies and gentlemen. Now it's only fair to let me run away and introduce our casters for today's fixture. They've been here the entire year. They're legends in League of Legends across the UK circuit. But further ado, everyone, please welcome a round of applause to Black Bloxer and Luna.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. After what was a very interesting show match to begin with, we now have what you've all been waiting for, the finals between Belfast Met Buffaloes and Colonel Cyphers. Are you excited, Max?
I'm so excited. I mean, we've been following these teams for the entire year at this point. They've been having such a great series for both of them, an incredible run to get to this point. But this is it, right? This is the big finals. If you win this one, win 2 games of League of Legends here, you walk away with that brilliant little trophy that we saw earlier on for the Overwatch, and all of the bragging rights, of course. Such good teams from both of them. Big congratulations to them both for getting here, but, you know, it's game time now.
It absolutely is, and game time is where you really have to step up or step out. Very excited to see, but we'll take a second, we'll meet the teams, and first up on that list is the Belfast Met Buffaloes.
They're a...
Hi, my name is Ren. I'm the support player and the captain for my League of Legends team.
Hi, my name's Obik, and I'm the AD carry for Belfast Met Buffaloes.
Hi, my name is Josh. Wait, no. Can I say my in-game name? Hi, I'm S2A, and I'm currently the mid laner for Belfast Met Buffaloes. Yes, I am a mid laner. See, by the way, our teams are very scared. We switch role every game. Like, every game. None of us want to play jungle.
My favourite character would have to be Rakan. I love Rakan. I think his kit's amazing.
My favourite champion to play, I would have to say it's Draven in the bot lane. I just feel that he has a lot of nuances to him, and there's so much he can do, especially in the early game, and that's what I really like about his playstyle.
I would say our team is very unorthodox compared to the other teams. We play basically, I'd say we focus very hard on our shot calls and our communication, and we just rely on mechanics a lot of the time. We know we can win fights before we start them.
Secret weapon? I would say, since I'm on the carry role, I have a lot of pocket picks that I haven't put out on the build-up to the final. I've only realistically put out the Draven once, and that's because they didn't ban it, and we hard won that game. So, unless, like, they have to ban that, I think me and my support have a lot of chemistry. Because we've been playing with each other for about 5 years, and we know exactly what we're like, how we're gonna play. And if she's on Janna and I'm on Draven, that's our secret technique. Like if that gets through, it's so over.
I want to see if they leave Vlad open. Is this going to be, when is this getting aired? Okay, good, because if they watch this, they will not let Vlad through, and we will lose. I will destroy them if they don't ban Vlad. That's the thing. Is that okay?
If you're watching the stream, keep an eye out for me, my support, because we'll be winning every single game we go into. And if you're supporting me personally, thank you, and I'll put on the show for you.
And that was the Belfast Met Buffaloes. That is the Belfast Met Buffaloes. We're seeing more from them on the stage. But let's just have a very quick look at the roster that we've got available for us today, if you want to run us through that block. So.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Opik, Rem, SEA, Osti, and Kenza. We've also got Halifax Cards and Jesus Christ. I mean, all of these guys, like they said, they like to move around quite a lot. Remy's kind of the only one who sits in a specific lane. She stays in the support role. Everybody else seems to move around quite a lot. It's very interesting to see. And I mean, what a roster this is. We got to watch them earlier on in the year just destroy AGSB in the regional finals. It was a 2-0, and maybe we were talking for about 25 minutes across the course of both games. It was so incredibly quick. These guys are just so good.
Yes, they play very fast, very strong showings of gameplay. However, they are not the only team we are seeing today. Our other team, the team they will be facing up against on the Rift, Colonel Cyphers. Let's hear a bit about them.
Hi, I'm Pavlak, and I'm the mid laner for Colonel Cyphers Esports team.
Hi, I'm Cougar. I'm the top laner for Colonel Cyphers.
I started playing League of Legends when I was around quite young, actually. I think I was around 8 years old. So yeah, quite a lot of time playing this game. So
I started playing League of Legends, I believe around 2012, 2013, around that time. My favorite top laner is Trindamer. I've been playing him like since day one. As soon as I saw him, Viking and stuff, I loved it.
I'm gonna have to say Yasa. Like, when I started playing, I was obviously very young, so I just kind of picked up the Yasa like every other kid did, and yeah, I kind of just like stuck with it. So yeah, my highest rank right now, I mean currently as I'm speaking, I peaked this split, I think it was Masters around 70% win rate, so it's pretty good, I'd say.
My favorite part of the experience was actually meeting with the rest of my team when we met first time, and we actually developed a good friendship, I guess. And I didn't really expect this because I never knew any of the guys of my team. So at this point, from strangers, we got to the finals. In the finals, we're looking for a flawless victory.
And that is the Colonel Cyphers. Do you want to run us through their roster as well at the block, sir?
Yeah, they're going to have Koga, Porlak, Albos, Bozmani, Shit, and Torable on their roster. And I mean, again, another brilliant roster. We haven't been able to watch these guys quite as much, unfortunately, as we got to watch that Belfast squad. But we've seen them run through a lot of teams at this point. And I mean, they had another 2-0 against Mid-Kent as their regional finals. So again, another brilliant team here.
Strong showings out the gate across the board. But it all comes down to this. Today is the day we will crown a champion. Both of these teams looking to claim that champion title for themselves. And let's be honest here. As much as we can speculate, as much as we can call on past results, nothing will give us cold, hard facts, quite like seeing the games take place right in front of our eyes.
Absolutely, as we're going to jump right on into the Champ Select for this first game. Like you said, after this first one, we're probably going to get a much better read on the relative power of these two teams. It's going to be the Vladimir banner right away. I guess they were watching that VT. That's real unfortunate. S2A not going to be that happy about losing out on that one. See what the other bans are going to be. As we heard from quite a lot of these guys, they've got some real pocket picks that are incredibly powerful in the meta at the moment. We were talking about the Draven earlier on before the game. It's the sort of pick that letting it through is always such a risk because you give 1-2 kills over to the Draven, and at that point, what are you meant to do?
It's so hard to do anything against the Draven once they have a lead, right? And that is what you need to be scared of. The Jinx ban coming through as well. Hyper carries is the name of the game recently. And if you can't be wary of these hyper carries and you can't play an aggressive, a very controlled early game that you know you can win, it gets so much harder to play out in the late game.
It really, really does. I mean, the meta in the bot lane right now is kind of wild. You can sort of play almost anything. There's a couple of champions that aren't as strong at the moment. The Caitlyn, the Varus, they've sort of fallen off a little bit, but almost everything else is available. Whether you want to go hyperscaling, whether you want to go lethality, all of these are sort of okay to go towards, although to be honest, I think the hyperscalers have been a lot more popular in pro play, but at this level, why not? Let's just go straight for the Draven.
Yeah, and it's a power move. It's a strong statement coming out of Alboz in that bot lane. The blind pick, especially on this Draven, so terrifying because you don't know what you're coming into. There are a number of things that are terrifying to lane into as a Draven. Lucian Nami, most of all.
Yeah, I mean, the Lucian Nami, it's one of the few bot lanes that can actually match that early power that a Draven can put down. It just gives you so much aggression early on, but obviously it doesn't work as well later on. And if you pick a lot of tanks on Conal Cyphers, that is pretty difficult to get through as a Lucian. He loves to burst through squishies. He can get through the Draven, he can get through the Lee Sin here. The Nautilus makes it a little bit harder. Nautilus Draven is a very aggressive bot lane, but you also put yourself in a situation where if you do over-aggress and the Lucian Nami is able to catch you out with a bubble, with a wave perhaps once we get to level 6, then it's a lot riskier. We'll see what the next pick is going to be. I'd imagine a jungler is going to come through, and I love the Poppy. Into the Nautilus, into the Lee Sin especially. It just makes it so much harder to play those picks.
You can't find easy angles in, and this is flexible. It can go in that jungle, it can go in that top lane. We shall see as time goes on. But that leaves at least double mid, possibly double top to come. Anything we're expecting?
I mean, with the Vladimir gone, that's obviously one of the things. Yasuo, we just heard about how that was one of the big picks. But no, things like the Heimer, the Malzahar, we've been seeing Ares as well being picked up quite a lot recently. Also things like the Ryze potentially as just some strong mid lane mages, something to just balance out all of the AD that you've got, because your bot lane is more than enough on the AD. You don't really need to lean any further into that. If you've got the Lee Sin on your team as well, you are more than happy there. You really need some strong AP to be able to balance it back out. If we are looking at double top laners, obviously we don't know that because the Poppy could well be a flex, then you know, perhaps want just some big tanks to protect these carries, because if either of these carries begin to pop off and you don't have the front line to keep them alive, they're going to have a massive target on their back, and you need a way to be able to keep them going, otherwise you just don't have the damage on your team.
Yeah, that's where things start to get really, really difficult. We have got all those bans coming through now, though. Seraphine Jax taken away by Conal Cyphers. Belfast taking away Ahri and Syndra. The Lux locked into that mid lane for Kenza. A solid burst mage, although not sure how it will do into the likes of Lee Sin Nautilus.
Yeah, it is always risky to play the Lux in a solo lane because she is so squishy. If you miss onto that light binding, you put yourself in a pretty risky position. You can see the hover onto the Taliyah here. Now, honestly, the Taliyah, I haven't seen it mid lane in quite a while. It's been a jungle pick for the most part, is going to be locked in right now and does have a good matchup into the Lux. If you can dodge that light binding, it is very, very easy to be able to bop that Lux back because she's just not able to get away really at all. And yeah, you know, you've got a lot of dashes that you want to have that workaround for. And let's see. Oh, is that locked? It
That's
is.
locked.
Okay, I mean, if we're talking about things that are locks and Immobile Lux doesn't like to play into, I feel like the Malphite is kind of top of that list.
Same can be said for the Nami and the Lucian. Anything that gets onto these carries so quickly makes the life so much harder. The Malphite, solid pickup, especially when so much of your consistent damage is this Lucian. We'll see where this Poppy is sent. The Yorick lock-in. I'm still none the wiser. Yorick jungle has been showing its head, and it can do quite a quick Baron.
I think it's top.
I think it might be.
I think it's just going to be the Yorick top. It's something that I've seen S2A play, but at the same time, I wasn't really expecting it to be pulled out right now in the very beginning stages of this matchup. And what a crazy pick that is, because the Malphite doesn't want to split push. He just does not want to sit in a lane. He wants to come and join the rest of his team. He wants to play with everybody else. That's not what the Yorick wants. Maybe the Yorick joins you for a team fight if things are going particularly badly, but he really does not want to. He wants to go, right, this is my lane, I've absorbed all the towers. I'm going to move lanes, I'm going to absorb all of these towers as well. It is going to be the teleport, so we'll be able to move around the map even quicker as well. And it really changes the way that you're able to actually play this game out. That being said, with a Taliyah and a Lee Sin and a Malphite, it's pretty easy to actually try to go gank onto these side lanes.
Certainly is. As we get ready to load onto the Rift for game number 1 of our finals, we shall see who comes out the gate swinging and who is left trying to pick up the pieces. As you say, the game looking to be very close, very strong from the get-go. A lot of things can go either way, but one thing is for certain, there's a Lee Sin in the game. There's going to be no shortage of early game action. And I think I speak for both of us when I say we'd have it no other way.
Bring it on. Bring it on. Let's go. Let's jump into the Rift as soon as possible because I am so excited for this one. The Lee Sin's a really interesting pick because you have to get those early ganks going. Otherwise, falling behind on the Lee Sin feels terrible. That's not quite as bad as falling behind on something like the Wukong can be, where you fall behind, you're basically useless. You don't give anything in a game. But it's sort of on the same level as the Vi, where you begin to fall behind, you kind of just have an ult, you're absorbing as much damage as you can maybe do. But with the power currently of the Sundered Sky, Lee Sin can just live in the backline for so long. He's not a tank, but it kind of feels like it once you get rolling on the Lee Sin. But it's all about getting those early kills. And it's pretty tricky as a Lee Sin to actually set up your early ganks for yourself. Don't really have any CC. Got a little bit of a slow pre-level 6. Post-level 6, it gets a lot easier, but by that point, you should have already gotten a kill. So you're very reliant on your laners being able to set you up for kills. But in the meta at the moment where you're looking for the early Drakes and the early Grubs as quickly as possible, that skirmish-heavy presence that the Lee Sin can give you is super strong.
Certainly is. And we are on to the Rift for game number 1, everybody. Let's hear you cheer for the Conal Cyphers and Belfast Met Buffaloes.
Thank you, everybody. And let's see how this one is going to go out. We're going to see a little bit of a split map situation for the minute. It looks like we are going to get Halifax starting towards that bottom side of the map. Could potentially start onto the Wolves here, 3 camp and gank, because you do have a really nice setup in the bot lane.
In the bot lane, we do see a bit of early trading. Nothing too out there. This is kind of what we expect coming through from a Draven Nautilus early game lane. The power that these two champions have level 1 will outmatch most anything, especially in a Draven Nami lane.
Yeah, I mean, the Draven Nami, you can do so much with the Draven, but it's always such a risk if you don't get that early kill. If you get shut down once you've got a couple of stacks on, you lose basically everything at this point. They changed it, so he used to lose, you know, just a little bit. It was bad to die, but not the end of the world. It's now just devastating to die, especially once you get, you know, 10 minutes or so into the game. If you can get an early kill, begin to cash in on those stacks more and more, the Draven can pull ahead so very easily and do what the Lucian does better. But if you fall behind, you have even less mobility, even less tools to try to play around than the Lucian, and it can be even harder. Indeed, we did see a 2 camp to gank. Oh, is this going to work out, though?
Has found the Nautilus. The stun will land into the wall, and Nami is there now, ready and waiting. Not a huge amount of damage. Lucian dashing forward. The hook will go through onto the wall. The chase still being given. Flash away by Burmani just to stay alive.
Yeah, having to use pretty much everything right there. Just about is going to be able to limp away, but that was no summoner spells whatsoever burnt for Belfast Met Buffaloes. Whereas over on Colonel Cyphers, you've lost your flash onto one of those main engage tools that you're looking for. If you want to get the Draven ahead, a lot of the time... Oh, hang on.
Dash forwards.
Oh, they're fine, but they're going to have to base. You have to base at this point as Birdman. Staying around is pretty much signing your own death sentence. But at the same time, abandoning your Draven at this point in the game is always terrifying.
Certainly is. That first strike proving to be painful for Opik as well. So much free damage coming out if you can get the first hit off in a fight. You see pings coming down onto the spot side. CHX is there, the dash forwards. Damage is good.
Mid lane.
Half health mid lane meanwhile. Warlock taking a chunk of health. We see Lee Sin looking for bottom scuttle. Could be looking for something towards this bottom side. This wave is looking to crash. Dash forward onto Alboz again. Just chunking out with this first strike. Chunking out with the Nami E for the extra damage. Proving so much power to come out of this duo.
And look at the size of this wave right now. This could be a very quick base if you want it. As well, we end up
First blood in the
missing
mid
a
lane.
first blood. What happened?
I'm assuming CHX takes the gang onto Lux. And of course Lux, not the most mobile, doesn't have the flash.
Yeah. I mean, without the flash, you're pretty much always going to die. Halifax also going to go for another gank. Cougar is going to be able to get away, although takes a huge chunk of damage right there. Is going to have to go back to base. Bot lane, really interesting that we saw that big wave being pushed in, but a recall didn't come through. Instead, it was just straight up. Push this wave in, try to get some chunk onto the tower plate. Unable to quite get it, but still that one's going to be very low. Pretty easy to take down soon enough. And they're just going to keep the pressure up in this lane. You could have gone back to base, gotten a pretty good recall off, had your oppositions caught under tower. Maybe it would have taken them long enough that you could have gotten back to base and kept the pressure up. And Stanford can have a quick look at what happened in the mid lane. Is, yeah, it was just a pretty easy gank right there. CHX not going to find picking that one up too difficult. And the fact it went over to the Talia is pretty huge. You want to get this Talia rolling as quickly as possible. Which is a really interesting pick in that a lot of the time it doesn't feel like a Talia's doing too much, and then you check the damage stats at the end of the game and oh boy, she's done more damage than anybody else.
Short range artillery mage is a terrifying prospect, especially once you get going. And I mean, in this situation, the Talia is your late game insurance, right?
Yeah.
You're looking at a Draven, you're looking at a Lee Sin. They don't scale terribly, but they're definitely more snowball oriented champions. As there's another kill in the mid lane, this time going across to CHX. Kenza not having fun in this mid lane.
Really not. We did have questions for this Lux. We were wondering if they were going to be able to, hey, it feels like we're talking about that 2v2 tournament again. Space, effectively. Unfortunately, not quite working out. You can see Porlak's done a really good job, actually, of not constantly pushing this wave in, instead keeping it in the middle of the lane and allowing CHX to get in for these ganks, picking up a kill on the Lee Sin. I love the fact that we're getting a kill on the Lee Sin. We were talking about it earlier on, right? You need to get going as early as possible with the Lee Sin, or you can fall behind. Poppy's always going to be useful. She can always bot people away with that ultimate, and she's always going to be a tank. Whereas the Lee Sin can fall off. Now he's gotten those kills, is in a pretty good position, has already got that Caulfield's Warhammer as well as a longsword, so is in a really good position. And with both the Infernal Drake and the Grub Spawn, whichever one he picks to go towards, going to be in a great spot to pick them up. And Lee Sin at this point does so much damage.
Absolutely. The only thing left to go Colonel Cypher's way is the Draven getting online as well. Then you've got everything in your hands.
On top.
See, there is the gank on the top side. As we see S2A a little bit low, will fall to Cougar. Struggling. Halifax card will use that as an excuse to start up the Dragon, but the Grubs should go down totally uncontested. 3 very early kills in game number 1 for Colonel Cypher.
This has been an early game of dreams right there, and really unlike Belfast, they are usually so good at keeping their early games clean and making it work, but unfortunately this one just hasn't gone well for them so far. Hopefully they'll be able to pull this one back, but we'll have to see what ends up happening as we get later on into this game. It will be a trade back and forth, potentially.
The Dragon was started and reset.
Yeah, I mean, I like getting the scuttle.
To reset, maybe?
Yeah, bot lane must have gotten chunked out. Really unfortunate plays right there, and giving a lot of extra just prio over to your opposition Lee Sin, putting them in a very good position to be able to just keep this pressure up, do as much as possible. And I mean, right now we can see just the sort of gaps that we're getting across the board. There's a pretty decent CS lead across the junglers. There's a big one in the mid lane. Top, bot, they're pretty even, but it's really not been about them so far.
No, it absolutely hasn't. I'd be very interested to get a stack check on this Draven as well. See how close to a big cash out we are really looking at this point in the game. As we wait to see just what happens in that situation. So we take a look at the gold difference. It largely lies in the mid jungle.
It really does. It is the mid jungle where all of the gap is going through, and because of that, you just have so much extra presence. We're going to get a gank on the top lane. This is just going to be all of the damage going down onto S2A. That Yorick not going to be able to survive whatsoever, and that is just going to be another kill. You can see 2 deaths onto the top laner, 2 deaths onto the mid laner, and we're getting the kills into places you'd love for them to go. The only person who I want a kill on at this point is the Draven, but still, going even in this lane is not the end of the world.
No, it's absolutely not. And as Draven goes, you can stack up those stacks quite high, cash in for a triple, maybe even quadra kills worth of gold the later you get into the game. The Dragon will go down for the Belfast Met Buffaloes in this situation. As the dash forward from Opik, half health off of Albos already. The first strike is proving so effective. Halifax card on the flank. We have CHX here as well. Doesn't look like anything's going to happen for now, just some aggressive trading. 148 stacks on the Draven, nearly a double kill's worth of gold off of that first kill.
Gotta get it though, because
another solo kill in the mid lane.
Whoa, okay, mid lane is just falling to pieces right now. It's really unfortunate for Kenza. Just isn't able to get the kills, isn't able to even survive in this lane. 2-0 and 2 now. But ends up missing here, and we can see that just through that mid and that jungle, the gap in the gold is just massive. 2,000 at this point. I mean, we're only 9 minutes into this game. There haven't been a lot of turret plays going down. That's sort of one place in which you haven't been getting as much gold as you would have really liked as the Colonels, but still, this is the early game that you would love to see for them.
Definitely is a very strong start to this game. 5-0, 2.5, 3,000 gold in the lead roughly. 1 dragon gone over. That's the only thing they've lost this game so far, is that first dragon.
Hey, it's an Infernal. It's a pretty good dragon to pick up.
It is a pretty good dragon to pick up. The next one being that Ocean. So we could see some pretty solid souls come through as well. We just see the bullying coming out from S2A.
We really do. I mean, Maven going to be spawned, probably going to die pretty early on at this point. You don't love giving some extra gold over to a Malphite early on. He's in such a good position to just be able to sit and absorb this pressure. Sure, you're unlikely to get solo kills in this lane, but the further forwards that the Yorick is pushed, that makes it easier and easier for the Poppy to try for a gank. Maybe you even want to roam up your Lux. You know, the Lee Sin get into this lane could also try pick up kills too here. We are going to see a potential collapse down onto the bottom lane. You can see everybody kind of wants to go for it. It doesn't seem to work out though.
Hesitation, maybe caught on a ward. Does look like that was the case as we look towards this mid lane. We can see 2v2 going in. Halifax card going very low. Tries to get the pushback. The dash onto Kenza is there. CHX will get Halifax card. Kenza now the next to fall. The rocks are flying and they are killing. Paulax on a killing spree.
Wow, I mean, CHS is just pulling these ganks off so effectively, and this is what we really needed to see out of this Lee Sin. You always worry as a Lee Sin that you're going to fall behind. That is absolutely not the case right
here. The hook lands, and then the shutdown for Albos. The cash-in is huge.
Yeah, like you said, a couple of kills worth of gold just onto that cash-in right there. You're also going to be able to pick up the kill onto Remy Moo. Thanks to turret shot, doesn't even mind. And why not some turret plays on top of it as well? I mean, this one is just falling to pieces right now. 9-0 between the kills. I mean, 5,000 gold already, 11 minutes in, as the action just does not stop. We're going to have a look top lane. CHX is going to continue this fight. Wants to get in, manages to land onto the Yorick, picks up that kill, and Halifax card is going to be easy pickings for the second kill. There we go, double over to CHX. What do you do?
Conal Cyphers coming into game number 1. A monumental statement in the first 12 minutes of the game, nearly securing themselves a kill a minute. They are not here to play, they are here to win. And if they carry on going the way they are, win they may. 3-0-4 for Paulac, 4-0-4 for CHX, 2-0 for both Cougar and Albos. They are setting up a masterclass, and those who attend shall be shown the true way to win.
I mean, this is a crazy way to get this first game going in these grand finals right now. Really showing up for the South. I mean, obviously both of us Southerners, we're sorry about that, by the way, but you know, always nice to see them doing well right here. And what a performance it has been, obviously. A massive lead for themselves. Oh, the hook is going to land.
Opic taking half health. Paul getting his solo kills, well, the TP coming in towards the tower. There's the knock-up onto Albos. A lot of damage going down, but they have to go on the retreat. Cougar is here. The stun into the wall from Halifax is good. The hook wall out. Halifax has to give their life here. And now Remy's walking back in. He's caught out again. Paul does not put the knockback on her. Opic is Pixel. Perfect.
And just another set of kills off of what was a proactive play right there out of Belfast. They really wanted to get something going. They managed to get a decent amount of damage down onto Albos, but it just is not enough at this point. You are so far behind. There's a full bloodthirster on this Draven already. He's just going to live and live every single time he autos, healing for so much. And at this point, it feels like, although we're only 40 minutes into the game, maybe you're looking at the next one. That being said, there are still ways to get back into this game. Anytime you're in a game and there's a split pusher, it's really hard to play it. Perfect timing. Thank you very much to BMC for getting that kill. Sorry, BMC for popping up right there, because if you have a split pusher, it's so much harder to just clean out games. I'm sure everybody who's played solo queue has experienced it. You're winning as a team, but there's a Yorick, there's a Renekton, there's something sat in the side lane, and you just can't deal with it. Every time you team fight, you lose a couple towers. Hook is going to land right here onto Kensa. I think this is just going to be another death. We've seen plenty of them onto the Leauge right now. Running for her life, does manage to rejoin.
Is able to live. There's the final spark, doesn't quite land.
That's a kill.
But that's a kill onto Burb Manny, overstepping and overshowing.
Oh,
and there's the flash from Paulak to finish it off. The double knockback will secure the fate of Halifax and Remy as well, as the kill is donated to Albos.
It was looking so good. That was so good right there for Belfast. But unfortunately, they're just not able to pick up the kills in the way they would like. It's another kill over. You managed to get something onto Kensa. That's a way back into this game potentially. But this Leauge does not even have a first item. It is so difficult to get your way back into this one. It is going to be a Drake going over now. One Drake apiece between these two teams. 15 minutes into the game, Cloud Soul is going to be joining the Rift. And I mean, I guess I would love to say that this is a good thing right here for Belfast. It's not the strongest, but in this situation, I would love to have a Cloud Soul onto a lot of these champions. What, you want to be running to these fights faster as a Draven? Yeah, no thank you.
The winds swiffen the Rift as swift as the chaos this game has sown, as we see a replay of that last fight.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty nice kill back, but this is just so crazy out of Paulak, flashing over the wall. The double knockback is really difficult to land, even a single knockback onto the champion. You know, when they're splitting, maybe you end up splitting the difference. No, manages to grab both of those, pop them back, and gets those kills over. Like you said, donating them over to Albos, 6-0-2. And I mean, we heard during that VT, right? Don't give over the Draven to Opic. What if you pick it away instead? What if you first pick it away? Doing really well. Albos is pretty low at this point. Is going to have to flash the bubble.
There's the dash forward from Opic. The damage is good, but it's godlike for Albos as the fight may just end there. Another hook lands, but it's onto S2A. It is stuck in the Yorick cage for now. Everybody in this mid lane ready and waiting to fire away. Herald will go down, which means this mid tower should not be long for the Rift. We may just see a fight appear. Halifax knocked away by the Herald charge. Has to flash out. There's the Sonic Wave. Will not be followed on for now. No hook to be seen. S2A moving back to the top lane. The Herald is being charged again. It's still not dead. CHX is in the back line. He's found everybody. He's found anybody. He's dead to Opic. As it's a shutdown coming across to the Lucian. And now the fight continues. The hook is blocked by the popping. Opic's not open. Cougar finds 3 on the knockup. And it's a double kill for Albos. Make it a triple. As Halifax is running for their life, there's one more to be found. Not quite. Splash away is good, but mid tower, bot tower, nothing is left for the side of BMC. Their base is being blown to bits.
Yeah, It would be so much easier to close this game out if we weren't 17 minutes in. You need a Baron right now, but unfortunately the game is just so accelerated. There's not one to pick up. Alboz is going to get jumped on right here. Does spot back and is just able to escape. It's so tricky to kill a Draven at this point in the game. And obviously I'm giving a lot of credit over to Alboz, but Blood Manny has played this Nautilus so well. It's pretty hard to keep a Draven who's got a bit of a bloodlust going alive. Sometimes they just step way too far forward. You're an ADC. I've seen you go way too far forwards many a time, and it's so tricky to keep them alive. But this has been a really impressive performance out of Manny to be able to keep this ADC going, make sure that the 0 deaths continues on from multiple people. It's only CHX and Manny who have taken deaths right here. And to be honest, if your Lee Sin and your Nautilus aren't dying, are they really playing to the fullest of their potential?
I would argue, for those who don't know, I'm smiling like an idiot at the AD carry comment. I know it to be true, I just don't wish to indulge it as fact. As we see everybody start to move around the map a little bit more sporadically at this point. Landing phases well over the towers in bot and mid gone for those inhibitors. One more good push and it's done. And if we take a look at the gold,
Look at the mid lane gold.
Look at the bot lane gold.
Look at the gold.
Look at the gold. 5,000 gold difference between those two roles alone as a fight is starting up. 15,000 gold difference. We'll see what that means. CHX been chunked out to begin with. There's the stun onto Blood Manny. There's a lot of damage coming down. The full combo from the Lux. There's so much CC, but there's so much tankiness. Opik is out of the fight. Polak is on the backside, and 2 are already dead as the Baron is just not on the cards. S2A next to fall. It's 3 very swift kills for the side of Colonel Cyphers.
They don't need the Baron.
They don't need the Baron. They're barreling down the mid lane. Barreling down the top lane even. 2 members left alive. Both damage carries. If you can open up this last inhibitor, you are signing the final nail to the coffin of the Belfast Met Buffaloes.
This game has been utter domination. We would love to see a back and forth matchup. Hopefully Belfast are going to be able to step back up in the next one, but right now it looks like the Colonel Cyphers, they are going to be just running through this game for the South. Incredibly impressive performance so far. Mid lane inhibitor will fall. Bot lane will join it. Top lane in just a couple seconds time.
Another good ultimate! And it's caught on everybody. Opik will fall. 3, 2 are dead. And in the third inhibitors, the kickback is beautiful. The only people left alive, Remy and Halifax. There's no damage between them. There's no very little tankiness between them. The first Nexus tower should fall here. The second soon to follow. Halifax looking for anything they can find. The knockback is good. The damage is coming down. Alboz has found Remy. The dash away will keep them alive for now from Halifax. But the damage is just too much. That second Nexus tower, it's so low. It's gone. The Nexus is open. It's Colonel Cyphers looking at the game. The hook is weaved past everybody as Alboz is just hitting everything and anything in the game is done. Colonel Cyphers take game number 1.
What a crazy game that was out of Colonel Cyphers. Incredibly fast. Was that 20 minutes? I think it was just over 20 minutes. I think it was just over 20. Just over 20 minutes between these two teams. And obviously, we'd seen a lot more of Belfast before we came into today. I knew how good that team was. I liked every single moment of what we got to see from them previously. But Colonel Cyphers, they took all of that prep that we talked about. Little ball, chuck it out the window. That was not relevant. And it felt like every single lane was just utterly dominating. The only place where it was a little bit squeaky during the early game was the bot lane. And then the second that the Draven gets that first kill,
immediately,
it's done. It's just done.
It's a very difficult game to play from that position. Very nicely done by Colonel Cyphers. Hopefully, we'll see the Belfast Met Buffaloes bounce back in game number 2. We shall see shortly.
I mean, what do you do about that one? How do you just get back into this game? We're going to watch a couple of the replays back through, and this is one of the good plays that we got to see out of Belfast, but it just gets turned around immediately. I love the aggression out of Polak, flash over the wall there. I love the aggression out of a lot of these guys. This is obviously a death going over to CHX. But who cares? If you're the Lee Sin and you're this far ahead, get into the backline. Buy extra time for your team to just keep sitting and hitting. And there was just so few places where I was like, yes, Belfast, they can play around this lane. They can win through here. I I don't know what it is that we're looking at for them to change potentially. I think, unfortunately, it may have to start with a little bit of a change in the mid lane. I think the Lux maybe wasn't the pick.
Yeah, looked a little bit difficult to play from that mid lane. From this point onwards, it was just a slaughter. The team for Colonel Cypher's playing to perfection, a beautifully well-oiled machine as the game does end. And that is our recap for game number 1. Colonel Cypher's playing a beautiful game of League of Legends to really prove that they deserve to be here. We'll see if the Belfast Met Buffaloes can bounce back in game number 2. And how do you want to see them bounce back in game number 2, Max?
I want to see them try to play a more aggressive style around that bot side, because the bot side was that bright spark during the early stages. Perhaps the top lane, doesn't need to step quite as far forwards, was getting ganked quite a lot. Mid lane, maybe the Lux wasn't the pick, something a little bit different, maybe something a little bit safer, or a comfort pick perhaps. The Lux, it just wasn't the play, but more aggression around the bot lane, and some more ganks as well, because CHX was in all of these lanes, whereas it didn't feel like we got anywhere near as many ganks out of Belfast. If they can maybe up the tempo a little bit that way, it didn't feel like they were just being simply outclassed. It just felt like there was far too much tempo across the whole board, and it made it difficult to play. Yeah, absolutely. It was a beautiful showing across the board. We'll see if they can bounce back in game number 2, but for now, we are going to throw to a quick break while the teams recover, and we'll be back with you very shortly. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back, everybody. After a dominant game number 1 from the Conal Cyphers, we are back for game number 2. We'll see if the Belfast Met Buffaloes can bounce back, or if the Conal Cyphers will close this out in a quick 2-0. Max, what do you want from game number 2?
I want a game 3. I support game 3. That's all I support. So right now, I guess I am a Belfast supporter because I just want to see more of these two teams play. I think after everybody's put in all of the work to get us to these grand finals, I want to see the full series from these teams, get to watch it all. But the way that the Colonels were looking, I'm not so sure.
It could be difficult. It could indeed.
Yeah.
I think I have an avenue.
Yeah?
To that game 3, though.
Do you?
We'll just pretend that wasn't upside down. I believe it is to follow the rules.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that everybody can fill in the blanks here.
Yeah.
Because, if everybody can fill in the blanks for me, that would be great.
The thing with that, and whilst I do fully agree,
Yes.
unfortunately, there were more problems than just the Draven.
There were.
However, these teams, as you saw when Connie was down there, have both selected blue side for all of their games. So it could be a first pick Draven angle over on the other side. It could be potentially, you're saying ban Draven, but for the Colonels in this situation, rather for the Buffaloes. Because both of these teams, ADCs, absolutely love playing it in the VTs. They were talking about how they love playing it over on the side of Belfast. So maybe the Draven does still get banned. If not, maybe we get to see 2 win in a row, and in which case it is definitely a banned Draven angle, and then we'll get to see some other ADCs.
If it wins 2 games in a row, I think it might just be the most broken champion at the finals. We shall see as we head into Champs Night for game number 2. The bans are done. They've been wrapped up, ready to go, just for you as we get into first pick.
It's gone.
Yes!
Yeah, we're going to get to see something a little bit different with this one. Draven is off of the board, as well as a lot of those other pocket picks. Also going to see the Malphite taken off, which is huge. It looked super good in that matchup up against the Yorick. First pick is going to be the Karma, though, and that is a multi-flex pick right there.
It's not something we see very often anymore. After the Malignance nerfs, the champion's flexibility has fallen out of favor a little bit. That, however, is something we have seen a lot, and it follows the same vein as the Draven. All-out, unadulterated aggression in the bot lane for Elbows.
Yeah, it really is. You would usually like to pair up alongside the Nautilus. That one is obviously taken off of the board already. Just something that can get aggressive. I've seen it paired with a Leona recently, and that looked super strong too. I do love seeing that Xin Zhao lock in right here for CHX. Super strong on the Lee Sin in the previous game. Hasn't decided to pick it up in this one. Instead goes for another one of those aggressive early junglers. You want to be ganking as much as possible during the early game. And instead of the Lee Sin, who's kind of reliant on the lanes to get the setup going, you can set yourself up for these ganks in a great way.
Certainly can. We'll have to see what the response is. And if we see where this Karma goes early on, the Wukong going to be picked up. And now the Karma mid is definitely on the cards. Karma Wukong, a solid mid jungle duo. But the Wukong, you don't seem to like it.
I do not. I am a certified Wukong hater. It is my least favorite jungler. But of course, it doesn't mean it sucks in all situations. The thing with the Wukong is that it can't set itself up for ganks. You have to wait until level 6 for you to be able to set your own ganks up, and he needs to have gotten kills pre-level 6 for that to work. I've seen a lot of situations where teams pick the Wukong and then don't set up anything for him. He sort of wanders around the jungle for 6-7 minutes and then is useless for the rest of the game. Right now, with the Karma, with the Pantheon, there's actually already quite a lot of good setup, so I don't hate it in this situation.
I have to ask, is another reason you hate it just because it's good into the Warwick?
No, I win those. I win those. I win
Pantheon lock-in,
those.
as you mentioned, does provide a lot more setup. Does mean this Karma is not going towards that top lane, but the Pantheon could also be going to that support role on Karma mid. Ari is the lock-in for Polak, another roaming mid laner, more importantly. This was banned away in game number 1. Taken on R3 this time. You can ban away its counters. The Lucian gone for Opic. The Poppy also taken away. A lot of dashes coming out of BNB again, so getting rid of that, get that again. Definitely a solid shout. Seems to be the name of the game for our finals today is dashes.
I mean, we saw, if you don't have a dash on the Talia, I'm just going to flash over the wall. When in this situation, you've got the 3 dashes plus a flash, most likely for Polak, is going to be super mobile in this lane. If it is going to be into the Karma, that's a pretty poke-heavy lane during the early stages. Right at the very beginning, the Karma can win out in that matchup, but later on, the Ahri should be in a much stronger position. Interesting that we get a Sivir ban. Now, Sivir, Lucian, they're very different in terms of those ADCs, but that's a lot of focus now. 4 of the 5 bans have gone straight towards the ADC role.
Certainly have, and I mean, there's a bit of flexibility across the board as well. The Rakan lock-in for Birdmani. I'm excited to see some charming, dashing, very, very quick gameplay coming out of this champion. The Seraphine locked in on the other side for somebody, question mark? There's a lot of flex picks on the cards at the moment. All three of these solo lane champions, or these carry-oriented champions outside of the Wukong. In fact, even the Wukong.
Even the Wukong.
Every champion here is flexible.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to lock yourself into any of the lanes. I'm expecting this, at least, to
be a marksman.
Be a marksman, or if it's not a marksman, to, you know, fully show us what's going on. Indeed, that does.
Oh, Lord. We have a Karma Seraphine bot lane, it looks like.
Bot lane.
It could be, you know, Seraphine Pantheon, Karma Pantheon. There could be another iteration, but it's looking like Karma Seraphine, and that's a terrifying lane to play into.
It really is. The Kai'Sa struggles a little bit into excessive range. She's good with her dash off of the level 6, obviously, but without that, if you can constantly poke her out, doesn't have the best time. Karma Seraphine, they can poke from so far away. Final pick will be a Renekton, a very standard team composition right here out of the Colonel Cyphers. They're looking to clean this one up 2-0, and they have not gone into their wheelhouse particularly to be able to do so. Belfast Met Buffaloes, though, it seems like they've had to really stretch themselves to find picks, figure out a way to make this one work. Indeed, when everybody's moved around, it looks like it will be the Pantheon, but obviously all of these guys can play in a lot of different lanes, so it doesn't necessarily mean that all of these champions are going to be where they look like they are. You'd have to imagine, though, that it will be the Pantheon and the Karma in that bot lane, and I mean, you've got some decent poke with the spears and with all of those Mantram-powered Qs. At the same time, though, into a Kai'Sa, into a Rakan, oh, I'm a little worried about this.
I do think that is a lock-in Pantheon AD carry. Karma support Seraphine mid, not the iteration we were expecting coming into game number 2. It's very out there, and I'm excited to see how this top lane goes specifically. Renekton, known to be a lane bully. Kayle doesn't like her pre-6 days.
Yeah.
We'll see if that can be abused. But Confetti, are you excited for game number 2 of the Conal Cyphers versus Belfast Met Buffaloes?
Yeah, there we go. Really interesting that you should bring up that top lane matchup, because the Renekton has sort of changed recently, right?
Okay.
It's no longer that early game bully that it used to be. Obviously, it's still good in the early game, but it used to be, you play the Renekton, do you win in the first 5 minutes? Yes, no, is the yes, no for you winning the game or not. Now, he's so much better at being able to get into the mid to late game and just be a sort of frontliner, can get a flank off, disrupt into the backline, just make sure your enemy ADC or mages are not able to just play the game that they want to. But in this specific matchup, I think all of a sudden it has flipped back to where you are having to be that early game bully that he once was.
Certainly is, and we are on to Summoner's Rift, everybody. Game number 2 getting underway right now.
Will it be a 2-0? Will Belfast be able to pull this one back and send us to a Game 3? That's what we want here on the Casters S. We want to see a Game 3. Whoever gets crowned champions, that's not for us to decide, but I always want to get to watch a little bit more League of Legends. As it stands right now, standard 5-point stances, other than the fact the CHX is just going to head back to base, having placed his ward, just going to cover off his own jungle a little bit.
Hold on.
It's in the mid lane.
I think we've had a bit of role reversal coming through from the side of Belfast Met Buffaloes here. I believe we are seeing this Pantheon go top lane. We are seeing this Kayle go mid lane. The Seraphine going towards that bot lane with the Karma. Don't quote me, but that could very well be what we're looking at based on positioning in the early stages of the game. And if that is the case, that changes this team dynamic entirely.
It really does. It moves people around into much better matchups. The Kayle is going to have a better time into the Ahri than you would have into the Renekton. It's still not ideal. No Kayle early game matchup is ideal, really. I mean, even into a support, potentially, you end up losing. Kayle is super weak during the early game, but it means it's a much easier matchup than when you're up against a Renekton who can 100-0 you incredibly quickly, and then you're getting to move that Pantheon around into the Renekton, where he can actually have a pretty good time into this matchup. It's a bit of a skill matchup. You're really reliant on getting those 5 stacks on the Pantheon, landing those spears in order to win this one, whereas it's all about the healing for Cougar, so it's going to be an exciting matchup top lane. but we could potentially see these guys move around again once the, early couple of minutes goes through, once recalls come through, depending on how these lane matchups actually end up working out. And this is something we were expecting out of Belfast. They are able to move people around into all of the lanes. They all like to play everywhere on the map. It really is only Remimu who stays in the support role. Everybody else likes to move around at least a little bit. So it is fascinating to see the changes and the adaptation that we've had this time around.
Certainly is. Very excited to see how this goes here on out. We see Halifax card looking towards his lane early. Polak gonna get the charm out of the Nimbus strike. Is able to get away from that one unharmed, but CHX up in this top lane onto Opik. The stun is good. There's the shield as well. Flash forward from CHX. It's not going to lead to anything. And already we're seeing Conal Cyphers start to try to be aggressive. Next to no avail. We now see, moving into the jungle, Halifax card has been found. Does Nimbus strike forward? The clone is doing a lot of work. Now Opik is here. A lot of damage going down on CHX, but Opik's now between three members. The dash forward, the stun, the first blood going across. CHX will be traded, and now we see the fight flourish. Halifax is going to go down. It's a double kill for Cougar. S2A left. The Kale. There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing. Polak will pick up the third.
Oh, it doesn't end up being a triple. I don't know if that's better or worse, though, giving over a kill to the Ari.
Roll the damage onto the Rakan. A flash forward. Matrix will hit.
Oh my, Albos is just going to have to limp back away underneath the turret. And we're seeing a little bit of a change. The bot lane, which was threatening to win in the previous game, is actually winning out. It was the Seraphine going with the Karma. It's a poke lane for the ages. You talk often about the Caitlyn and the Lux and how that's miserable to play against. It is, but this is worse. This is a much, much worse combo to play against because at least... Oh, hang on, wait, as we have a look back towards the top lane. A bit pretty low. Cougar also down quite low.
Seemingly okay for now. Halifax card is on the way up now, though. Flash available for Opik. There's the stacks. You see Halifax there, ready, waiting. The dash forward, the flash away from Opik is good. Cougar now stuck behind the Hermes land. Opik grabs that kill for themselves and evens out this top lane matchup just that little bit more.
It was a well-played bait right there, as we're actually going to see S2A step up into Polak. I don't really know how much how much S2A can do.
CHX, the side steps from S2A. The footwork will not fail you today.
Was that footwork?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. We're going to count that one as footwork. Now Polak might be in a little bit of a sticky situation. Does have the flash available, but Halifax card is just over the wall. Just isn't going to be able to get on top of Polak quite yet. CHX is there.
Dragon spawned the Mantra Q forces the flash up Polak. Very nice roam up there from Remimu. Nicely done across the boards so far. For both sides, kills much more even. Gold, more importantly, much more even at this point in the game compared to last. Now we start to see the map flourish. Belfast Met, Buffaloes, showing there are signs of life after game number one. They have come back stronger, more resolute.
They're playing this one out with a lot more aggression, and I really like it. We're actually getting to see Halifax card get involved. One of them was a loss, one of them being a death, but it's actually getting involved, and I really like to see that. It's exactly what we were looking for out of him, so I'm really impressed with that during this early game. And just having the mental fortitude to be able to say, hey, things went wrong, like this is going wrong for S2A just going to be dead. But even though things went wrong early on in that first game, we can pull back, we can play this one out as well. And, it's not ideal what's happening in the mid lane right now, but it's a Kale. It was never going to be great. The sort of ideal situation for the Kale is to get out of lane even. This isn't even, but you've not fallen behind so much at this point. A little bit of a CS gap, a couple of kills, not the end of the world. You just have to stem the bleeding now and not start to compound on your losses.
Certainly do, as we now see both neutral objectives up, available, spawned in, ready to go. All around the place. We'll see what these junglers prioritize. Good ward from Polak to spot out Halifax card there. Now knowing that reset is coming through, CHX gets first choice. Could be looking for a lane gank here. Is just going to opt to reset under the tower.
And not going to get too aggressive, although obviously hovering in the wings, potentially Opik stepping forwards would have triggered that gank. Instead, things are just going to go back to normal a little bit. We are 7 minutes into this game, and it is a lot more even than in the previous one. I really like to see it. And with a composition that scales pretty dang well on the side of BMC, hopefully they're going to be able to get through this early game in a way that they just couldn't in the previous game. Bot lane has been a pretty much a bright spot for them. In the previous game, and in this one so far, but it is tricky to keep getting kills as Kensa and Remimu. You are eventually going to learn the ranges for Alboz and Birdmanny, but they just have to sit back. You can't continually step up and wait for those ganks to come through, because you can kind of rely on CHX to get ganks through. He's been all over the map, really proactive the entire time.
Going to start up those grubs early on. Halifax card doing the dragon on the flip side, so it will just be a trade of objectives. Pretty standard at early on. Cloud Dragon is the first dragon we are looking at this game, folks. So it will not be available as a soul. We are getting a different soul from game number 1.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that we get
so do I.
something a little bit different. Obviously, the Cloud Drake as an individual one, it's not the strongest. I think it's a lot stronger as a soul rather than as an individual. Still a little bit of extra movement's never going to be the end of the world for anybody. Halifax Car's going to be able to pick this one up nice and easily. We take a look at the CS leads that we have got across the board. There's a decent chunk in the top lane. Jungle's very even. A little bit on the favour of Porlak in the mid lane. Bot lane, once again, nice and even. So it's really a close game this time around in a way that it just was not in the previous game. So it looks like the turret plate as well is going to fall to Kensa. Nice big chunk of gold for him as well. If you can just keep this pressure up in the bot lane, it makes it so tricky to be able to actually get any of these bot lane objectives for it's sort of anyone on Conal Cyphers. Can you step up? Not really, because the bot lane is always going to be able to rotate first.
Certainly will be. It's going to be difficult across the board. We'll see just how this progresses from here on out. Taking stock of the map state as things stand. Level 6s have been reached for every member of the game. So if we see a team fight, as we see a quickness in the bot lane, catches onto both, the knock-up lands onto Remu. And damage is landing, CHX there as well, but Halifax is there to dissuade. The root lands onto both, and there is the Crescent Guard, keeping the damage out, the ult forward from Elbows, and there is the Cyclone. Wow. The Kayle onto Kensa will go down. That will get cancelled. There's Birdmanny down, Remu just able to survive as well. Halifax tanking up the charm, but will not take anything else. It's just a 1-for-1 Seraphine for Rakan.
I mean, the amount of chase that was able to come through right there out of Conal Cyphers was insane. They were just able to stick on so effectively. A lot of that was CHX. This Xin Zhao is just super sticky, and another kill going over to him is going to be huge for this jungle matchup. You just want to keep yourself ahead as much as possible, because Halifax Card has also been having a good early game. The kill going onto Remimu for BMZ. Usually you'd be like, it's going onto the support, that's not great. In this situation with the Karma, definitely not the end of the world. The only real difference between the Karma and the Seraphine right now is who's going to be taking the farm and who's just going to be taking the support item.
I think as we see these builds develop as well, we are like to see them differ in a little bit. Kensa with that gold like to go for the more damage items.
Nice charm.
S2A looking forward to flash forwards from Porlak. S2A will pick up the kill there. Now CHX a little behind the lines of the enemy, and now S2A stepping forwards. Cougar is there, has to slice away, will not be able to dice there. It's the first battle dance, the second battle dance, and now we start to see the turnaround. The grand entrance will land onto one, but everybody is here, everybody has arrived. The root will not quite land onto Birdmanny, the slow onto CHX. The poke is coming down, the teleport back from Porlak. Porlak does not have the Spirit Rush just yet. Cougar looking forwards, looking for something, the healing, the sustain coming out at BMC. It's just too much for CC to handle, and the fight will end with nothing.
You've really hit on a key point right here for why this Belfast composition is working so well in the early game. As, hang on, we are going to see a chase going down. The charm does land onto Kensa. He's just going to fall right here. There's nothing you can do. As soon as that Spirit Rush came through for the Ahri, there's nothing you can do to get away. But a key point for why Belfast composition is working is because they have got this double enchanter, double healing coming through. The shields, the speed ups, all of that you can give between the Seraphine and the Karma just makes it that much easier to play out this game. It's a really nice little combo, and it works especially well in the straight-up 5v5s. You saw, once your individual, once Kensa was split away from everybody else, that's where you're in a much better situation right here as the Cyphers. But if you can keep everybody as close to each other as possible, once we get to these objectives, that's where it's really going to be a great situation for Belfast. Now, 11 minutes into the game, I wanted to do this at 10, but unfortunately there was a big team fight. How dare the teams? We're going to have a little check-in. S2A is on level 9 right now. That is a level 9 Kayle. So we are 2 levels away from the point at which this gets a little bit scarier, as a gank going down onto the top lane. Ignite already used.
Pick dashing forwards will fall down to Cougar. It's unfortunate. And now Halifax debating whether chasing the Cyclone. Did tag, but Do you have the damage? You've only got a Tiamat as this Wukong, and CHX is here now as well. The Wimp becomes lightning tags onto Halifax. The flash forward stun. Cougar gets a second off of an unfavorable situation. And meanwhile, in the mid lane, Porlak will solo kill S2A.
Yeah, that's a huge amount of kills going over to the Cyphers. And I mean, they're just so much better on the rotation, it feels like. Every single situation where Halifax arrives, gets there first usually, but the counter gank is coming through from CHX in almost every single situation. And it was just a little bit of a misplay, unfortunately, between Opic and Halifax card. Opic went in a little bit too soon, used that Ignite as the initiation, just didn't quite work out. We are going to see, you know, a couple of these grubs going over as well to CHX, and they're just going to be able to continue on with their domination. I mean, this is going to be all 6, right? And now you're going to be able to get these towers that much easier. We've got 7 seconds, until the next Drake is going to be spawning. There will be an Ocean, so we are, I think, on the cards for a really interesting soul, potentially. I love Hextech, not necessarily for the buffs that it gives, but because of those portals. It makes it so much more interesting. You're able to reset into fights that much quicker.
Personally, quite a fan of Chemtech myself for those map changes as well. The long-range blast cones. Very interesting to play around with. We shall see what it is as the Dragon is on the cards and both junglers moving towards it.
The setup is going to be a little bit quicker coming through for Belfast right here, but going to have a lot of members on their way over. You do not have a teleport from Opic in the top lane. You do have an ult, potentially. Halifax going to have to just jump over this wall, and they're going to have to cede this position. All of the early
You don't have Opic. The solo kill in the top lane comes down at the worst possible moment. S2A free hitting on the mid lane tower, the wave being pushed out in bot lane. But all you can do now is hope and pray. The teleport is down for Cougar, so you're not looking at losing too much in terms of a 5 versus 4. You are losing plates in this top side. You are losing gold in this top side. The Herald has spawned. CHX is soloing out this Dragon. Dashes forward onto Halifax. The damage is good.
Wow.
There's the dash forward from Porlak, and there's the Cyclone coming through. The Encore doesn't tag onto anyone. Halifax now loses their life. It's a killing spree for Porlak, and everybody else has arrived. It's another double kill for Porlak. A triple, potentially. And now Opic is there as well. It could be a 4th. There is the shield. The dash away from elbows is good.
Quadra.
And there's the quadra kill
go mid,
for
go
Porlak.
mid. Let's
and
go.
You can look to go mid. S2A left under the tower. Meanwhile, the Dragon is being done. Everybody has respawned, so I don't think the timer will last if this does happen in the mid lane. But a beautiful fight for Porlak accelerates this Ahri light years ahead.
And the early game, it felt so much better right there for Belfast. They were able to keep toe-to-toe. The bot lane was going well. You were getting kills onto your jungler. Top lane, it wasn't a complete disaster. It was pretty back and forth, in fact. And then all of a sudden, in these team fights, it's just working better and better for Conal Cyphers right here. And I think part of it is just the aggression that they display. CHX was doing that Drake by himself. There were 3 members of the other team stood around, and he just didn't care. Was perfectly happy to just keep sitting there, wait until his team joined, fight 3v1 even, and it's just a level of confidence and aggression that you can only get from being this good a team in the grand finals.
It certainly is, and it's paying off dividends, rather. As we see, I believe, fight in the bot lane. Never mind the point I was going to make as Kenza low, oh so low. Porlak is godlike. Remy next on the list. The Orb of Deception doesn't quite land. The Spirit Rush not quite up, but the auto attack is just enough to secure that kill. 10, 1, and 2 on this Ahri. Porlak is having a monstrous series.
I mean, at this point, it's just a complete disaster right here for Belfast, as S2A also going to get charmed up, taken down, has, you know, tried to survive through this early game. It just hasn't been working out. We're going to see Halifax card take it down again. Porlak is just a sniper with these charms.
12 kills.
This is crazy right now. To be fair, Porlak has died this series. Not something I can say about Albaz. Albaz has not died a single time this series, although I don't think 1 death across the course of 2 full games is going to feel that bad for Porlak either, and it feels like we are going to be crowning our champions relatively soon. Again, Belfast, they have some angles to try play around. The Kayle is sort of that Hail Mary you've got right at the end of the game, but Is it going to get there? Sure, S2A has now hit the level 11, but you are so far behind. I wonder if production, we could have a look at the gold right now, because it's going to be a pretty big gap across the course of these teams. It is going to be 8,000, but I wonder where that is sat specifically, because it feels like you're going to have a massive gap in the mid lane, obviously, as that bears out, but where else? There's a pretty big chunk in the top lane. Jungles are pretty even, actually, and the bot lane, it's not the biggest gap either, so a lot of that is going to be sat right onto the mid lane. 700 gold shutdown. If you can get a shutdown onto this RE to start off a fight, then you could totally win this.
You absolutely can. Herald goes across, as I believe it is a Hextech as you wanted. We missed that one when the Dragon went down, as the tower in the bot lane so close to falling is just going to be cleared. But now we see Remy moving down to aid Kenza against this Renekton. Cougar really, really strong at this point. And the flash forward from Cougar comes in. Kenza just melts. It's a rampage for this Renekton. Sorry, I lost the name of the champion for a second there. It's the Crocodile in the top lane.
Cougar has had a great game, 6-1-2, but it feels like when you've got a 13-1-2 RE, it can get a little bit overshadowed, right? And we were asking for the Renekton to be that early game threat, and it was so incredible to see just how much you can actually still get done on the Renekton, because it feels like he's just not the same champion he used to be, unfortunately, as we are going to watch what 6 grubs and a Rift Tower can do to a tower. It's going to fall incredibly quickly. S2A trying to do what he can.
Knocked up. Encore doesn't land onto anybody. The fight is over for now, though. S2X flashing, S2A flashing forward with the ultimate. Does kill 2, and a third to follow.
We get this one. Manny's super strong. One more.
There's the burn. It's a triple kill for S2A. The Kale is online, ladies and gentlemen.
There we go. We were keeping the time at the level 11 was hit a couple of minutes ago. Level 12 now. Obviously, it's a kill. Level 16 is where you're trying to get. That is the late game win condition. And because of those 3 kills you get, that's some pretty big injections of gold. You manage to get a mid lane tower as well. That just opens up the map so much, gives you a bit of gold as well through those bounties. Could potentially look for more, though. Polak is back.
Looking onto Halifax. It's so much damage. Spirit Rush alone is enough to melt the monkey into the ground, and now dashing forward again on the S2A. The charm will land, the flashback to secure the orbital deception. There is no divine intervention to save you for now. As the fight continues, the dash forward from Cougar lands onto everybody, and Kenza will fall. Opic now dragging the rest of the team away from the carry and the support for BMB.
It's just over-aggressive, right? I think possibly Colonel Cyphers are going to look to end this one, but it was a good play. You managed to pick yourself up 3 kills. You get them onto the KO. Where better could those kills go? But then you overchase. You try to push too far forwards. You don't have any ultimates available to you, and now you've got death timers. 15 seconds on Opic. Should be able to get back alive to stop this game from ending, but you're going to lose so much of your base. You see, unfortunately, Wukong taking a pretty big chunk of damage, although this could be a turn.
The inhibitor not gone down yet. CHX going low. Finds the knock-up onto Halifax, but it's not enough. The damage from Polak is unratched.
They're stunned. They're down.
Polak is down. 2 have died. Albos has fallen as well.
I think Remy got the shutdown.
Remy got the shutdown. It's not ideal, but it's something. Halifax on the chase, looking to force the rest of the team back. Everybody will get out with their lives that is left alive. The Hextech Dragon up and available. The Baron Nashor up and available. And you can see the vision control being left towards the bot side by Colonel Cyphers. They are looking to secure themselves a second dragon and using that as leverage to end the game.
We're going to have a look at the gold once again. Again, huge gap in the top lane and in the mid lane, but everywhere else is relatively even. There's still little gaps of back and forth, but considering how big this gold gap is, it's not feeling as clean as it was in the previous game. In the previous game, it felt like there was basically nothing that could be done. But now, Belfast, they're managing to find ways to fight back in this game. We've hit level 13 for S2A. You know, 3 more levels to go. It's going to take a little while. It's just going to be the Drake picked up nice and easily right here for the Cyphers. I don't think there's going to be any response. And it feels like this is a sort of tale of over-aggression back and forth. BMC, they get a fight, they over-aggress, they lose the fight. Colonel Cyphers, they manage to get a couple kills, they over-aggress, and then they lose a couple of kills back, give over that big 1,000 gold shutdown as well. It goes to Remy, not ideal, but if either of these teams really want to close this game out, they need to not over-aggress, especially when you don't have those ultimates. These ultimates are huge.
Yeah, I mean, as we saw there, the bot lane tower fell as well. That's an objective bounty going into the back pocket of the BMC. As Kensa has just fallen in the jungle, as you do. Or in the mid lane, I think that was. Baron. And that will just be the Baron, this Seraphine, gone away. I'd like to see the items that we're on for this Kayle now at this point, just to see how close we are to a massive spike while this Baron is being done. Kayle is absorbing waves, absorbing gold, absorbing XP, level 14, 2 levels away.
And hey, the wave clear is terrible right here for Belfast. They should be able to absorb these waves relatively easily. I'm going to try it for a collapse right now onto Cougar.
Opik on the bot side finds the stun onto Cougar, as you mentioned. There's the Dominus. Remimu is there as well, as is S2A. The damage is starting to come down. I do believe Cougar may just get away from this.
No.
Halifax is there to cut them off. Does hesitate a little bit, but the shutdown will go across to this Wukong. Not the worst place it can go.
No, you're going to be pretty happy with the Wukong being able to pick up a little bit more gold. It's already got that Ravenous Hydra, but it's struggling for a second item, whereas it's fully second items completed on everybody. 4 Conal Cyphers, they've got 3 for multiple as well. You can see those 3 items completed right now onto this Arlu. Porlak does so much, but if she gets tagged with a stun, maybe Halifax is able to knock her up, or Opik with that point and click. That's where the Ahri can still be pretty squishy. You're not going to survive for that long, not with this build.
No, you're not. 12 stacks on the Medjais, though, on the other side for side of S2A. It's getting very scary, and if you can keep this snowball going for this Kayle, things get very, very difficult.
Really can do, but there's only so far you can get, obviously, once you are an Ahri who's got 15, 2, and 4, 162 CS as well. Eventually you're going to be full build, and then there's not really anywhere you can go. At that point, you are going to be able to catch back up as Belfast. We're obviously about 20 minutes away from that point happening. We're still a little while away from S2A hitting that level 16 point, but it is a level 15 Kayle now. So a couple minutes time, once level 16 comes through, there's a chance, right?
Certainly is. My big worry, though, is you're looking at no real solid AD threat coming out from Belfast Met here.
There's no AP, though. There's no magic resist of the opposition. I mean, there's a couple of pieces of armor that have been built by CHX. There's a little bit of magic resist onto the Kai'Sa, but, like, I don't think that's going to be the thing that changes it. This could well be the end push right now. Come Cyphers, they want to be crowned champions. What can Belfast do to stop that? Send us to a game 3.
See what they can do. S2A is now in the area. Every ultimate available. The dash forward from CHX gets the knock up onto Opik. The damage isn't sticking just yet. S2A just free firing for now. The inhibitor will fall. All 3 inhibitors dead. Porlak dashing forward. The charm goes wide.
This is
and
the big knock-up.
The Cyclone onto 3.
Oh, here's 3. Here's 3.
Onto 4. And everybody starts to fall across the board. We have 2 dead for the side of Conal Cyphers. Make it 3.
Oh my lord, make it 4. That's going to be 4 kills picked up right there. Cougar the only one to be able to limp away. It wasn't even a level 16 on the Kayle. That may well have been the first encore that we saw landed, and what an encore it was. It was so well done. Cyclone out of Halifax cards into Kensa's encore. Gets everybody teed up into one small little circle, and that's exactly what you want for S2A, who has just hit level 16.
Ladies and gentlemen, the rite of ascension has come to pass for S2A. Level 16 on the Kayle has ascended to godhood.
Let's see a little replay of this one. The encore onto multiple members, and then you're just able to sit and free fire. Remimu, Kensa, they're also able to deal quite a lot of damage throughout this fight, but it is, of course, S2A who are watching throughout that one. Let's jump back to live. We haven't missed anything while we were in that replay. Always feels like it's a possibility when things are this intense at the moment. 30 seconds until we get the next Drake spawning. It's not going to be Soul for anybody. It would be Soul Point if the Cyphers can pick it up. You would really like to get out of base and be able to grab one right here as Belfast, but I don't think it's necessary, and to be honest, I'd rather you set back and scaled a bit longer.
I mean, on the other hand, the ability haste and attack speed, very nice for this Kayle. Meanwhile, Opik on the top side, taking the trade with Cougar here, is going to have to flash away. Now you've got everybody in the top side. That is everybody dead, and Remy falls on another side.
That's not
3
good.
men standing, base in tatters. This could be the end of game number 2. There was shining light. We'll see if BMC can hold their own. You see, wave clear is solid.
20 seconds.
The wave clear is good, but the tower is melting. The charm lands on the Halifax. Has to dash away. The Cyclone is knocked away. The 3 encore hits, but it's not quite enough. S2A is now caught up on there. The divine intervention shall cause the downfall of CHX. Now S2A flashing forward. Has 2, has 3. There's number 4, and it may just be the pentakill for S2A to save the game.
Pentakill right there for S2A. It was a miserable early game for this Kayle. It was a terrible, terrible time, but they've been able to weather that storm. They've been able to keep themselves in this game, and it's another brilliant encore out of Kensa to bunch everybody up, get them into a position where you can step forwards, and now you're going to be able to get out of the base finally. You don't have to worry about the constant threat of that Ahri looking for charms. You're going to pick yourself up another one of these Drakes, now 2 apiece. And this game, we were looking at the times, right? From about 10 minutes, we were watching it. We were ticking up slowly. Level 11, level 12, level 13. And once that 16 hit, it has just felt like you can't quite get over the hump. And this is a really bad situation to be in. When you've got all 3 inhibitors down, but you're not able to take those turrets, you're not able to close out the game because it's just constant golden XP flowing into this Kayle exactly where you would like it to be. That being said, 20 seconds now until this Baron is going to spawn. You could potentially give up another one of these if you want to, and just
the jungle,
grab
looks
more.
like. Might be, it's possible. We'll see a replay of that play there.
I think this was the first
this
play.
This may be the first play we saw, just that brought the game back from the brink. We see a lot of damage coming down, but the area control is just that much better. The CC chain is sublime, and everybody falls immediately.
Something I think I wasn't quite able to see as effectively while we were in the midst of that fight. I was more like, what is happening? It's just how fast S2A is with the speed ups that you can put on yourself, plus the speed ups that you're getting out of the Kayle. Just moving around these fights so quickly. While we were in that replay, it was a Baron going over to Colonel Cyphers, but that feels like it's more because Belfast didn't want it. They just want to keep trying to get more items onto this Kayle. That is a 25 stack Medjais on a Kayle. 4 completed items, another needlessly large rod in the inventory.
Zhonya's or Shadow Flame, it's looking like.
Yeah. I'd like the Zhonya's, but maybe you just want to kill the enemies. Maybe another Penta is what you're really looking for in this situation. Another one of these inhibitors is going to fall. It's the second time that mid lane has gone down. You are also getting a push right now out of Cougar. Doesn't have the teleport to come and join the team, so this could be a potential go window if you are Belfast. It would have to be a bit of over-aggression, perhaps even, out of OPIC to sort of get that fight started.
Certainly would be. If you can weather this, the last parts of this storm, you are looking very happy. We can see all moving towards the spot side, but Porlak's on a flank. Porlak's found the way to the side. OPIC is keeping them out for now. This inhibitor is what you're trying to keep. So much damage onto Alvos from 1E out of S2A. Now charging forward, leading the dominant steps, forcing Colonel Cyphers out of the base. We see just back and forth and back and forth. S2A shifting back towards the center. Gonna give the inhibitor a cross. Gonna just allow this forwards. Porlak towards the top side.
The wave clear is so strong though. Whenever S2A even has a wave in his sights, it's just going to be able to shred straight through that. And you are just continuing to give gold over, although, to be fair, at this point, the Kayle, other than grabbing a pot, doesn't really need it. That is full build. And we sort of joked about it being full build, potentially, for Porlak. Hasn't been able to come through quite yet, has got those 4 completed items, plus the boots is still going to be working on that 5th. But it has now happened right here for S2A. With the 25 stack Medjais, I reckon if S2A dies, the game is over, so it doesn't really matter now at this point what else you do with that Medjais. See if they're going to be able to grab a pot as well, likely going to be able to very soon. As Colonel Cyphers, though, you need to get this game finished right now, and in order to do so, you have to kill the Kayle. The Kayle lives, and you kill everybody else, you're not winning that fight.
No, unfortunately not. And I'd just like to point out, there's a lot of vision sitting at different points around the map for BMC as well, which normally you wouldn't expect when you can't really leave your base, right? But it's good setup. It means flanks are less likely to happen. As we see, everybody barreling down the mid lane. There's Kai'Sa now at 3 items as well. We'll have
the
to see.
encore. Where's the Kayle? That is what we really need to be looking for.
Rejoin the team now, just looking to clear waves, and the wave clear coming out of this team. I mean, minions, they have lower MR than they do armor. These waves just melt in the face of triple AP threats. So now we see there's a fight to happen. If they're just going to let these minions crash in. Colonel Cyphers, they have to pull the trigger. They have to find an angle, because if they don't, they can keep slamming these minions. It's just free gold. It's just more ways for Belfast Met to get back into this game.
It really feels like the Cyphers have stalled out right now. What a scary position to be in as Belfast, but they're making it work for right now. And you can see every single time the speed-ups go onto S2A and he steps forwards, everybody from the Cyphers steps back. They are terrified. You don't want to be the one who pulls the trigger and loses your team this game. Obviously, the Cyphers, they've got the little bit of a buffer of, hey, we won the first game. It's not the end of the world if we lose this one. But you have backed Belfast into a corner.
There's
Oh,
the
there we go.
engage from Birdmani. Doesn't land onto Remy Moo, though.
That's a big ult
no,
done.
that's a big ult and a big flash down now. The
Oh, the
charm
charm.
lands onto S2A, but the shields are good. There's the flash forward, the encore onto 2, and Porlak is deleted from the rift. And now the flash forward from Opik onto Cougar. As the chase forward is on. S2A staying to clear waves, but the rest of BMC, full frontal assault. The Dragon is up. Halifax walking straight into CHX on his own. There is no way out for now. There's the ult over the wall from Elbows. And that is Halifax dead. Kenza next on the list to fall. S2A is now here, though. The Crescent Guard will do something for now. The flash forwards! The Divine Intervention doesn't land!
Oh, managing to still pick up 2 kills, though. Oh, it was a real heart-in-the-mouth moment right there when Halifax goes down, stepped up a little bit too far, clearly thought that all of the Colonel Cyphers had decided to leave, didn't want to keep stepping up in that situation, wanted to go grab the Drake for his team, wasn't able to. We are going to see a huge push going through. Cougar taking a little bit of damage from the Drake. Until that point, turret is going to fall, and you are continuing to push forwards right here as S2A. Whoa, TP into the base, though. TP into the base. Are you going to be able to get back?
Porlak, Remy Moo stopping it. Opik looking to reset.
You need to get back to base.
Has killed
the Nexus.
Elbows. The Nexus is dying. Porlak is looking. Porlak has found the angle. The knockup lands. The wave clear's not there. Colonel Cyphers are your finals champions for the British Esports Student Champions for League of Legends.
Oh, that's a heartbreaker right there for Belfast. They step out of their base for the first time in 20 minutes. And Colonel Cyphers, they snap their fingers. They know who they want to take out right there. And it is going to be the Nexus. Porlak, after 2 incredible games, is able to close that one out for his team. A real performance out of him, a real performance out of everyone from Colonel Cyphers. They'd have loved to have done it a little bit cleaner, but it doesn't matter how it gets done when at the end of the day you lift that trophy.
Absolutely. Commiserations to Belfast Met. That second game looked so close. It was so nearly theirs.
Oh.
It was this close. It was this
So
close, ladies and gentlemen. And it just was not quite enough. We say Colonel Cyphers are your champions, and I believe we're both largely in agreement when we say that our Alienware MVP for this game goes to Porlak.
I mean, that was a crazy performance out of Porlak from the very beginning to the very end. We're going to have a look back through at a couple of the highlights from this one, and what a crazy one it was. Some just brilliant performances. CHX also was popping off across the board. Great performance on the Lee Sin, played really well as well onto that Xin Zhao, and other than the final 20 minutes of that second game, it didn't really feel like Belfast were able to get their teeth into this one.
No, they really struggled to find an angle forwards. And sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes maybe it's just an on-the-day thing. Maybe your style doesn't match up to the enemies that well. But it does happen sometimes. It feels so bad when it does. It feels so bad. But they tried their best, and I think that is all that can be asked. There was shining, bright, white lights of life coming out at different points in that game. It just wasn't quite enough.
It wasn't in the end. Oh man, I think that's in response to a ban, wasn't it?
That was in response to the bad Draven.
Yeah, there we go. And just, you know, commiserations right there, obviously,
absolutely.
for Belfast Met. When we got to see them, let's say it, dismantle AGSB in their regional finals, it was a great showing, and it felt like at the very end of this game, that was them beginning to pop off. It was them beginning to show off what they can do, but it just wasn't quite there, not as consistently as Colonel Cyphers, and a massive congratulations to them after they also 2-0'd in their regional finals, and then they're able to come in today in these grand finals, 2-0 against Belfast Met, take it home for the South. Massive congratulations.
Absolutely. It was a beautifully done set of games. They played it so cleanly, so well. And even with a couple of hiccups in that latter game, the later stages of that second game, rather.
Look at this bit. I mean, watch this play right here. It's just so well executed, and it results in just the perfect situation for S2A. I'm gonna highlight it. It's just a gorgeous play, but unfortunately, in the end, it's just not quite gonna work out. Penta. This was the Penta. What a great situation to get a Penta in. S2A, if we had to give an LVP, it would definitely be to him. It was a really impressive performance on this Kayle after what was not a great early game. But yeah, there's only so much you can say about Belfast Met when Colonel Cyphers were unfortunately just the better team on the day. Obviously, with Devastator, we would have loved to have gone to a Game 3, but this is a well-deserved win. And look at the excitement on their faces. It's always so great to see so much excitement on the faces of these guys. I mean, we said it earlier, we're going to repeat it again. Paulak, definitely going to be our Alienware MVP. What a performance.
Absolutely will be. Massive in game number 1 on the Slayer. So many good shove backs. And then on Ari in game number 2, found that angle to find the end of the game. Made the lead so monumental that it was. It would feel wrong to give it to anybody else. Very, very nicely done.
Yeah, it was just so nice to see the aggression more than anything. I've seen plenty of Talias. They sit in the backline, and that's their position. I live in the backline.
Yeah.
Never step up. That was not the case. Flashing over the wall, hitting double knockups in such brilliant situations, making Talia look flashy. Now, that's not a thing I've seen pretty much anybody do. Most of the time, if they're not the top of the top pros, Talia, she does loads of damage, but she doesn't look that flashy. That was not the case for Paulak, and an incredible performance on both that and the Ari. Definitely deserves an MVP vote.
Yeah, absolutely. It was absolutely insane. Not to take away from how well any player played, mind you. An absolutely insane series across the board from every member of the team. I believe Paulak just had that little bit of a step above. So yes, I believe that does it for you and I, Max. Has been a pleasure, as always. And it has been lovely bringing you the games, ladies and gentlemen. Is there anything else you wanted to say, Max?
Just a big thank you to production behind the scenes. It's always such a great event to be here in Confetti, so thank you very much to everybody and to Confetti for having us. But yeah, thank you very much, and we'll hand it down to Connie to give us those winners' interviews.
Thank you very much. And again, a massive round of applause once again for Black Boxer and for Luna for an impressive cast and one of easily the most convincing final wins we've seen so far in British esports to date. Now, I think it's only fair right now that we just fast track a little bit here. Colonel Cyphers, would you kindly join me on stage, please? It's time to lift that trophy. The coveted item you've worked so hard all season for. Congratulations, it's all yours. And now presenting, now joining, easily one of the British esports greats, your 2024 League of Legends British esports champions, the Colonel Cyphers! Well, without further ado, I'd also like to get the conversation started with this series MVP. Now, I've already spoken to him before in the pre-match interview, showing a level of composure and calmness the pros would be jealous of. But Pavlak, congratulations. You've won yourself an Alienware M720M, courtesy again of our wonderful partners, Alienware. Very special, very special performance you put on there. But I'd love to ask you just one question. I mean, in terms of your play, how are you so good at League of Legends?
I'm not going outside too much, I'm not gonna lie. I've been spending a lot of time playing League at home, and I guess it paid off. So yeah.
I completely respect it. I was the same at one point as well, but I was never as good as you. Hashtag bronze gamer. Albos, I'd love to come to you next and ask you generally about the team's play, because the first map was incredibly quick. It felt like 15 minutes, we blinked and it was over. But the second map, the closeouts were a little bit harder. You got there in the end though. I wonder what the communication was like throughout both maps in today's grand final.
The first one was like what we predicted, and we had already discussed like what they're gonna play, we're gonna play, and it was the same. But on the second one, we were gonna choose another like champion, but we didn't. So I had to like pick another champion, and I think that slowed down like the game from finishing quick. But if I had picked that champion, it would have been quicker. And for the opposite team, they had a problem at the end. So I think it was a good game after all, because it wasn't like the same team for them.
I respect the call completely. Thank you so much for chatting to me, Albos. But up next, let's do Bert. Why not? So, Bert, we've spoken mostly about Colonel Cypher's team play, but I'd love to angle a question towards your journey here today to get to Nottingham and British Esports Grand Finals, because it's been a long season thus far, especially across all the esports. I mean, how would you summarise the change of your team's style and ability throughout the last 6 or 7 months?
Well, if I'm honest with you, me personally, I was first a top laner, but then I've had to adapt to support. I've been playing tanky champions, trying enchanters, and we've just had to change the team comps a bit and just find the right synergies, really. And in this final, before we've prepped, we've done flexes, we've done scrims, and all of that has just been in preparation for this one. And yeah.
I respect the cause and the honesty. Thank you so much, Bert. Chunks, can I borrow you for a second as well? Hi, Connie. Nice to meet you. Love the haircut, by the way, as well. I'm very jealous. Chunks, let's get right stuck into League of Legends today. I mean, we already spoke a little bit about the communication with the teams today, the journey to get here. But I suppose now, what does this achievement rank for the guys? What would a win in British Esports mean for you all after an impressive grand final and a very good regular season?
Well, I mean, I think the whole journey here for the weekend, we're staying over for the weekend, and just had a lot of fun. And after winning, obviously, we're all going to go down to the pub, watch England. Hopefully England go through. And then, just enjoy the rest of the weekend. Tomorrow, we've got our Valorant team, so we're going to be supporting them as well. So, yeah, it's going to be good.
Synergy as well for Colonel Cyphers and having the ability to have at least 2 teams here in grand finals, so one can come support the other. But it goes to show you just how amazing the colleges have been in London to get 2 teams here. I mean, to qualify as well.
Yeah, that's all down to Finley, to be honest, our coach. He's built something like, built up the Valorant team, built up the league team since coming here. So shout out to him, to be honest, and shout out to all the college staff as well. They've all been really supportive of all the teams ever since creating the whole college academy.
Well, again, shout out to Coach Finn and a wonderful product. But there's one person I've got to chat to, and that's Cougar. Well, hello, good sir. How are you today?
Good, you? That's
Got such a deep voice.
yeah, definitely.
You're showing me up here on stage. I don't like it. But Cougar, my question for you though is a little bit more centered around, I suppose, today's overall match. Sort of encapsulate. If you were to like describe today overall and the feeling and the team's feeling and League of Legends you've played today, I mean, where would it rank in your books, good sir?
So in terms of feeling, I think it was a very exciting experience. We all really enjoyed the game today. It was definitely challenging, and we all came determined here to lift the trophy, and we did it. And I guess, yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much. And just one last time, everyone in the audience, Colonel Cyphers, your 2024 League of Legends British Esports champions, everyone. And that concludes today's matches in British Esports. We had Overwatch, we had League of Legends, and 2 very convincing wins from 2 amazing colleges. But without further ado, let's wrap it all up and let's enjoy it. I've been Connie. These have been the Colonel Cyphers. Thank you so much today. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful end. And what more can I say other than one more trophy lift? Come on, one more time, guys.